Hello, time for another Man in Gray book review. Today's book is Life in 5 Seconds, over 200 stories for those with no time to waste by Matopo Civiacci and Gianmarco Miles. Let me try that again. Matpo Civiacci and Gianmarco Miles, published in 2012. It's 256 pages. Our two authors founded a design company in Rome, and they put out designed logos and posters and advertising circulars and so forth. And they came up with the idea of doing a series of books of pictograms, telling little stories or whatever using flowcharts of pictures, pictograms. And this book, their first one, was a big success internationally. It has a series of 200 pictograms about famous people, historical events, natural wonders of the world, and so forth. And so you look at them and you try to figure out what it is, and the answer is at the bottom. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of examples, give you an idea of what this is like. Let's see here. Get my glasses so I can see this. Okay, yes. All right, here we go. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, let me get over here where you can see it. Okay, so we have, you can see this, we have a butterfly and a bee. Then we have a medal. Then we have a belt and a torch. And then above it, we have a medal underwater. We have a bunch of palm trees. We have a ghost and a boxing glove, a crescent moon, and then a soldier with a line through it. And if you haven't figured that out yet, it's the story of Muhammad Ali. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He won the gold medal in the Olympics for boxing in 1960. The belt represents his world championship. He's the world heavyweight champion. And then in old age, he was the Olympic torchlighter at the Atlanta Olympics. The medal in the water is a story that he told that he got upset about the civil rights movement and threw his gold medal in the river. Later historians found out that that wasn't true. He just made that story up, but it's become a famous story. The ghost and the boxing glove represent the fact that when he refused to serve in the Vietnam War, he was stripped of his title and banned from boxing for 2 or 3 years. Crescent moon is his conversion to Islam. The palm trees represent the Vietnam War, and the line with a soldier through it represents his refusal to serve in Vietnam. So it's a mini biography of Muhammad Ali. Now let's look at one that is not about a person, but about a historical event, and it covers 2 pages here, so if I can do this. You've got a missile on a truck, and then you've got Cuba with a communist flag over it, and then you have a Cuban flag and the Russian flag, and you've got missiles here, and then you've got essentially the same thing here, Russia and Cuba, and down here you've got Cuba with an American flag pushing down the Russian flag. And then over here you have a line through both sets of missiles. You have a line through Cuba with a U.S. flag on it, and you have a handshake. This is, of course, the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? The Russians installed nuclear missiles in Cuba. The United States threatened to attack Cuba and invade and topple the government. That's what the flag with the thing over. So we came very close to a nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis. But at the end, they reached a deal where the Russians agreed to pull their missiles out of Cuba, and the Americans agreed to pull their missiles out of Turkey that were facing Russia. And so the United States agreed not to invade Cuba or try to overthrow the Castro regime, which is why there's a line through there, and then the handshake represents the agreement. So Cuban Missile Crisis summarized in just a few pages like that. And at the back of the book, there's a chart where you can do your own pictograms. I'll show that to you right here. There's a little form here where you can make your own pictograms. And these are fun. After you've done some of these, you may try doing those yourself. And here's a set of possible pictograms for you to do. There's people, animals, vehicles, sports, food, and various other things. So you can kind of assemble your own little pictograms here. Now, I've got a daughter who has a degree in linguistics, and I asked her if she thought pictograms were a form of language. And of course, we have some languages that are essentially pictograms. Mandarin, Korean, and Japanese all use which are essentially pictograms. They're not really pictograms, but they're symbols that represent things. But they're not arranged in a flowchart like this. So ask her, do you think pictograms are a form of language? Because they're not actually words, they're pictures, but the pictures represent objects and ideas, and the arrows are kind of like syntax. And so she thought about that and said, I don't know. So she didn't really help me very much on that. But it certainly could be thought of as a language, or at least a precursor to language. And probably something like pictograms were the earliest forms of language, written language anyway, from people, because we know from cave paintings that there were pictures of animals and so forth on the walls of caves, and they probably had some kind of deeper meaning than just a representation of an animal. Anyway, if you enjoy puzzles and you're intrigued by the idea of pictograms, you might want to read this book. The book is Life in 5 Seconds, and the authors are Mateo Sivacci, I can't do Italian very well, and Gianmarco Miles. This has been another Man and Great Book Review. Thanks for watching.